Hello, 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 fellow Ambazonians. Good afternoon, good afternoon. This 21st day of May 2024. I'm delighted to have you here with me on ABS TV on another edition of The War Zone. As I already said, I'm glad to have you here with me, and I hope you are as delighted as I am for us to go through all of the developments in our liberation struggle, which has been it has picked up steam within the past few days, and uh, surprisingly, to some people who erroneously thought that we were done. But I think what we have seen in the past few days has reassured a lot of people who till now started having some doubts whether we were on firm footing. But as I've already said, I think we are making progress. We are speaking loud and clear what we want and what we are willing to do to get it. So I would like to start by, first of all, greeting you all. First of all, what do you think about the rich culture of the people of the Southern Cameroons? As you just saw there, we have such a diversity of culture, and I just sat back here and I was watching all those videos of the traditional dances, the attires, and all that, and it's just such a very rich culture that some are trying to destroy, but we will not let that happen. First of all, I should say I miss it. I really miss it. I hope Amazonia is free soon so we can go and enjoy that rich culture. Fellow Ambazonians, we are starting a little late, but we'll try to make up for time. We have some really very interesting topics to discuss today, and I will be joined by none other than Dr. Gwambe. Uncle B will be joining us as well, and I'm expecting Comrade Mars and even Honorable Sama Thomas to join me on this panel today. Fellow Ambazonians, it's been a very eventful past few days, very eventful. A lot has happened, and we are going to discuss that during this program. So, why don't you do me a favor and share the link? Do me a favor and share the link so that we can have others watching as well. I know some are watching by way of YouTube, and of course, Ground Zero is watching by way of satellite TV. So I would like, first of all, to start by, but before I do that, why don't I bring in those who are available? Dr. Gwambe, I don't know if you are there. If you are there, brother, let me see you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Tamai. Yeah, bro. Tamai, welcome, bro. Welcome. And to
Oh,
all our beautiful
thank you, Massa. You be one other that close, no other my own too.
bro. You don't say contributing be day weekend, so I go some mommy day for day. Big shout out to Ma Mary. I want to appreciate her for bringing these outfits. So I see my own. I buy
Oh
some one for me and
man,
buy some one for my woman.
I was just talking about the rich culture that we saw there in those very colorful images that played just before the show. It's just it's so nice to see us in our colors, you know. Yes,
Yep, we
so
are
Dr.
beautiful. We are
Ngwambe,
beautiful
as you were
people now.
saying. Mhm.
Yeah, we are very beautiful people, and a beautiful people like us deserves to have its own country, as it was in the beginning, and
Absolutely.
which was given to us. So I really want to make sure I
Okay,
greet my
yeah, I
brother
can
Uncle B,
see
the honorable Uncle B.
Uncle B is
Greet my
seated.
brother
Uncle B
Uncle
is
Maz.
seated. This is going to be very interesting. So I hope Amazonians
Yep.
are tuning in to share in this very interesting exchange that we're going to have here today. First of all, let us start without any waste of time by recognizing the work that our great fighters have done in the past days. I say kudos to our heroes, our great warriors on ground zero. We cannot thank you enough. We say thank you for what you have done. We have seen actions all over the territory of Ambazonia. We've seen action in Manu. We have seen actions in Donga Mantung. We have seen actions in Kupe Maninguba. We have seen actions in Ngoketunja, Momo, Bui, Mezam, Lubialem, Boyo, Meme, all over. It's just been hot the past few days. Ambazonia has been boiling, and our boys have been well behaved too. We have not seen the kind of wayward behavior that some had displayed some time ago, which we criticize. But when they do good work, we have to come out and acknowledge it as well. But we have been very proud of our brave restoration fighters for what they have done, and we believe they will continue to do it. In the past few days, they have spoken loud and clear, and the message has been received. So, Dr. Gwambe, what is your appraisal of the performance of our brave liberation fighters this past week?
Well, I mean, our brothers did a really good job. I mean, I was really impressed to see liberation forces who carried out activities in Bafut and Donga Mantung and some of the other areas that you spoke of. So they did a good job. They continue to send a message to La Republique du Cameroon that though La Republique du Cameroon thinks that they're going to mop this thing up in the next couple of weeks or months, just like they thought 8 years ago, and and they've been fooling themselves all this time. Ambazonia is steadfast, and our fighters are fighting with conviction, and they are doing everything possible to ensure that we have our country and that we restore our nationhood. So I really want to appreciate our brothers back home. I pray, let them continue to do what is necessary, and we have their backs, and we'll continue to support them because they are our heroes. God bless them.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Ngwambe. And I would like to ask, and when you mentioned the declaration by Paul Biya when he came to, I think it was the airport, and declared war on us, someone just shared that video again yesterday, and I listened to it. I watched it, and I was saying to myself, this is something this guy said. He said it like they were going to crush us in 2 weeks. All the measures have been put in place to deal with this ban of terrorists and so on. That's why he said then, 8 years and counting, they are still trying to do that, and they are having a hard time doing it. So, Uncle B, I want to hear from you. What is your own appraisal of what our restoration fighters have done, not just in the past few days, but for the past close to 8 years now? They have been standing their ground against a trained and well-equipped and funded military. Our boys have stood their ground, and they are standing their ground. Uncle B.
Yep.
Uncle B, presence. I'm happy to be here again today after a while. Wow, that's so great. And Dr. Ngwambe, Idele, say, you be small picking now, send that through for your papa. Am I coming through?
You're coming through loud and clear.
Oh, very good. I'm glad to be here, Tamak. I'm glad to be here for us to talk about our struggle. And you see, there's a situation, people believe that when you're at war, you have to be fighting every minute, every minute. There are always the lows and always the highs, but the war is raging on. People would think that we are done or we are gone, like we will celebrate, but they fail to know that a war is not fought every day. And when we do come out, they feel that we are up. And they were shown them these last 2 3 weeks that just passed, especially during whether they call it 20 or what, I don't know. But to let them know that they are mistaken. If they feel at any point I think that the Amazonians are what they thought they were mistaken. We are here to stay until last man standing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming back again, Uncle B. You're very much welcome to be here today so that we can break it down like we have said. And we cannot thank our restoration fighters alone. We must also say that the call for a lockdown was overwhelmingly respected by our civilian population. And as we speak, by the way, before I forget, as we speak, La République du Cameroun is in Bello. we hear they are in Bello now molesting innocent civilians. Innocent civilians are being beaten. All mothers, all fathers, people who have don't even have the means, who cannot even walk, they are being pulled out of their houses and beaten. As we speak right now, that is what the terrorist soldiers of La Republic are doing in Bello today. Now, so I wanted just to thank our civilian population too for their dedication and their ability to come out and respect these lockdowns when they are called. I think Amazonians have overwhelmingly sent a clear message to La Republic of Cameroon. We have vomited. We have vomited this thing called 20th May, and we are never going to eat it back up again. We are not dogs. We are not dogs. The 20th May has been vomited by Amazonians for good. We will never take it again. They should take it. Let them get this message very clearly. Ambazonians will never celebrate this sham again, ever. It will never be celebrated in Ambazonia again. It is dead and buried in Ambazonia. So they should get it. So, Dr. Ngwambe, what message do you have for our civilian population for their own part that they have played in sending this message? The streets were all deserted. Deserted from north to south. They were all deserted, except for a few areas where, in some cases, those pictures you were seeing were even staged days before 20th May. Some of those pictures were not taken live yesterday. So, Dr. Ngwambe, what do you have to say to our civilian population for their own contribution to the success of this boycott?
Well, bro, you know, our civilian population, it's because of them that we're fighting this fight. You know, without them, you know, we would not be in this. So, of course, I definitely appreciate them. We in the diaspora, we definitely appreciate them. And the interim government also appreciates them. My fellow Ambazonians, we all know that civil disobedience is a key element of all liberation struggles, whether you're doing it through kinetic activities, meaning war, or if you're doing it through, you know, a peaceful, let me call it peaceful route, right? Meaning like sit-ins, boycotts of economic activities and all those type of things. It comes with achieving the liberation that you want. So we really appreciate our people back home. We thank them for staying in. We thank them for hearing the calls and preparing in advance to be indoors. And we thank them for sending a very strong message to our occupiers in La Republique du Cameroon that we are steadfast for this independence. And we also want to thank them for the message they sent to the international community that we are ready for this independence and we are committed to seeing this thing through. You know, personally, I refer to 20th May as anti-colonizers day. I don't refer to it as this fake Independence Day that La Republique du Cameroon is trying to shove down our throats. For us Ambazonians and our people in Ground Zero, this is anti-colonizers day. So I really want to appreciate our people back home for sending a very strong message to La Republique du Cameroon and to the international community.
Yes, Dr. Gwambe, you know, this question is directed to Uncle B. You know, leading up to this 20th May, Uncle B, La Republique had invested a lot of money, resources to make sure that, because the message was 20th May was going to be celebrated in Ambazonia no matter what. That was the message, and that was their objective, that they were going to celebrate it so that after this they can then come in with their sham election and say elections held in Ambazonia. But they have overwhelmingly failed in that effort. They have invested so much to make sure that this sham of a day was celebrated in Ambazonia at all costs. But Ambazonians have took their ground and they have said, never again, never again, never again shall we be mocked. Never again shall we allow ourselves to be called fools, to be compelled to go out and celebrate the day we were taken in as slaves. I mean, these people have really taken us for idiots for so long, you know. They have really taken us for idiots for so long that the day we were annexed, they tell us to go out and under the sun or rain and march in front of them. And mind you, and we are going to cover that story, by the way. Most of the colonial administrators are from their own area. So they sit at a high table where it's all protected under the stands, sipping wine or whatever they're sipping with some chewables, and our people are marching under the sun to celebrate the day of their enslavement. What a sacrilege! What an insult, Uncle B. What do you have to say about this? The fact that La Republique campaigned so heavily to make sure that this day was celebrated in our land at all costs, but they have failed abysmally. What do you have to say?
Yeah, Comrade man, it's not even much to be said here. You know, a determined mind is very very difficult to derail from where it knows it is the right thing to do. From September 22nd to October 1st, 2017, the outpouring of our people out there shows to the world and every onlooker that we were determined. And they have not wavered from since then till date. They are determined. But there's no ambassador who doesn't feel the pain, who doesn't see the injustice. And if you ask the person to go celebrate that injustice, even though some amongst us are still doing that because maybe they chop or they eat the feed from there, but the vast majority that we have felt it, and they came out to show that no, enough is enough. So it would take La Republic maybe centuries until this generation is wiped out. Maybe the next generation will not know, and then they just transform Amazonia to something that the next generation will not know the sufferings of the ancestors. But for now, I think we know, and Ambazonians understand the sufferings of him, of ourselves, and not somebody tell feel it. From my LGA to Mbengeba, you even need to take a very, you just go to go on foot. So with that, why would it need to tell somebody to know the pain? Why would it need to tell somebody to feel that this is not what is supposed to be happening? So our people are determined, no matter what they want. The vast 90% of Ambazonians are determined to say, no, enough is enough. No matter the game they play, they will never succeed.
Yes,
Great our case.
rightly so, Uncle B, because I think I was listening to one of the La Republique Cameroon stations, and one of the panelists who was courageous to speak out stated clearly that if La Republique thinks that they can defeat this thing by military might, they are joking because this struggle is no more something physical. It is a spirit that you cannot catch. You cannot catch this spirit that this struggle has become. Because as they thought that by killing some of our great generals and the field marshals that the thing was going to die, but they have realized that there is a new crop of generals and commanders that are coming up that have been baptized in this struggle. They have been baptized in this struggle. They have learned the manners of the La Republique Cameroon soldiers, and they have adapted, and they are coming up and they're causing enormous harm to them now. And they don't even, some of these generals, the names are not even well known, but they are doing the job. So you cannot kill this thing by military might. It's not going to happen. Now, when you
Let me
are
say
talking
something here,
about,
Mike. Mike, let me say something here.
okay, go
You
ahead.
see, the problem here, even a baby or a child, we keep beating a child every day. See that a child will stand and say, no, enough, will resist that beating and will do what
Hmm.
he is able to do. And this is why Larry thought if he to beat us to submission, and then he's going to
Hmm.
solve the problem. It's a rooted situation that you cannot beat somebody and then wipe it out from that person's mind. It takes a
Yes.
lot of effort to try you can erase it from the minds of Ambazonia. For those who actually understand our history, they will tell you that no, it cannot happen. So that big thought that if he can beat us to submission, when declaring that thing, they say it was going to be 3 weeks or what it is Ambazonians. But he underestimated the determination of Ambazonia. And that he's saying it for himself. Even despite the advice that they told him repeatedly, they let him know that win the thing at the war front, that they will. It's a grassroots movement. It's some sort of elitist movement. It's a grassroots movement where everybody is involved. It is difficult to take that away from
Absolutely.
them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our struggle is now a spirit. You cannot catch it. You cannot kill it. You cannot imprison it. It is like air. It cannot be contained. So now let us go to the main subject of the matter, which concerns the very day, 20th May of 1972. There was no unification, talk less of reunification in 1972. There was nothing like that because everything was premised on a lie. It was a fraud. It was a lie orchestrated by none other than Ahijo. And the person that was very close to Ahijo at the time when this thing was done was who? Paul Biya. Paul Biya was right there with Ahijo when this thing was hatched and thrown on the people of the southern Cameroon and Bazonia. So, the questions I would like to ask is let us go back because Uncle B, I listened to an audio you made, I think it was yesterday, and it was very interesting. It was very interesting, which asked some questions. So I'm glad that Chairman Mars is here with us. He will add to this discussion, which will make it very, very rich. Yeah, so the questions I would like for us to ask are these. When was Cameroon named Rio dos Camaros? When was that name given? By who? Prior to the naming of, that was like what we call what streams, right? So before the naming of Cameroon, Rio dos Camaros, or which later was converted to Camaros, and the Germans came in and called it Cameroon with a K. Before then, was Cameroon existing as an entity with established boundaries? I'm asking these questions so that we are thinking about these things and we'll factor them into our contributions. Now, because the lie that La Republique is trying to push out there is that we were once one unit, and at some point we broke away, and we simply, by coming back, we were just simply coming back home where we were before, which is a lie. So I'm asking these questions. Prior to the Germans even taking, because I followed very clearly how the Germans came in and occupied the territory, which they occupied it gradually. It wasn't like one whole piece that they simply came and took over. They started from the Douala area and moved inwards and negotiated with the various chiefs until they had the swap of land, which extended beyond the current boundaries of Cameroon. And I have some maps which are pulled up, and we are going to look at them. But I want to give you respectable gentlemen a minute or so to first of all just give your own thought about the questions I have asked here. SOS Mars, since you just came in, I'll give you the pride of place. And if you want to cover a few other things that we have talked about before, you are free to do so. What is your take on this, please?
First of all, I greet you, Chairman Mike. I greet all the panelists. Kudos to all our viewers, especially those from Ground Zero who have joined us today. Greetings to you and on a cafe day. All our food soldiers, all our farmers, the generals, the field marshals, anyone watching on a place day. We greet you now. Chairman Mike, yes, you've asked an interesting question there. What was there before the Germans, before the name was given as real Cameros? Well, we know from history that there is a song that we used to sing when we were in primary school, that they came in numbers, the Portuguese, the Germans, the English, and the French. So yes, before the arrival of the Portuguese on that piece of land, we used to govern ourselves in the form of kingdoms. There used to be kingdoms. Africa was made up of various kingdoms, various tribes. When I say tribe, I don't mean the little tribes as we know them today. I'm talking about the various kingdoms. So yes, there were the various kingdoms, and that's why when the Portuguese came, they named the place Rio de Cameros. But as they went back to get authorization, unfortunately for them, they say you've been undercut. So they were undercut. Well, Hewitt from England came first after, and went back to England to get approval from the Queen. But before she came, the Germans had come and put their flag there, and nothing they could do. So
I actually found the name of the explorer, the German explorer who came in was explorer Gustav Nischiger. He was the one that came first. He was the explorer who came in first and established the territory under the Germans. Continue.
Yeah. So when Hewitt went back to England to get approval from the Queen, by the time he returned, the Queen gave him approval that go and let's get that territory. But by the time he came back there, the German flag was already flying around the river around the Douala area.
Yes,
so,
right.
There's nothing he could do because the Germans were already there. And the Germans called, because the Portuguese had called it Rios de Cameros, but the Germans could not be bothered with meaning river of prawns.
River of shrimp, yes.
Yes. They couldn't be bothered about the river. They were just interested in the place, so they call it Cameros, like Cameroon. Since with the German language, any word, any letter that you pronounce, you have to put emphasis on. So since ka to them is ka, sounded K. So that's why they spell Cameroon with a K, or Cameros with a K. So that's how the Germans came in. But it was a big territory. Yes, all that territory in green and the brown, the dark brown area, I think they were all part of Cameroon.
Yes, that is why I have these maps projected here so that ambassadors should see. Yes. I understand that you see all the swath of land on the right hand side, which is now part of Central African Republic, and on the south you see there's part of Congo there, maybe even former Zaire. And then you see, on the west side, you see the parts that are Nigeria.
Went to Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it was a big
that was all territory under Nigeria. Under the Germans. That was all territory
under the German Cameroon.
Yes. Yes, German Cameroon. Yeah. Yes. So finish your thought.
Yeah. So when following the war, the country was taken away from the overseas territories were taken away from the Germans and divided to the Allies and cut into pieces. So we were West Cameroon, whether you choose to call it West Cameroon or but Southern Cameroon. If you want to talk about Southern Cameroon came about because the English, the British had their own part. They divided it following religious line. Then the people in the north were Muslims. The people in the south were Christians, or the majority. Let me say the majority of the people in the south were Christians, whereas the majority of the people in the north were Muslims. So following that line, they had the northern Cameroons and the southern Cameroons.
And
they
in
were
the
all
northern Cameroon, just to explain, if you look at the map to the extreme left, the northern Cameroon is a part in light blue. That is the part that is now with Nigeria. That is the area that was known as North Cameroon. There's a
yeah, the
left
northern
side
Cameroon.
in light blue. Yes.
So uh, when we decided, they gave the United Nations did allow Britain to forge a plebiscite saying that there was no option for independence, and we went for that. Fortunately, I don't know whether it's fortunately or unfortunately, but our leaders were split. Some wanted us to join Nigeria because the option of independence was not on the table. Maybe they should have carried on fighting until that option was put on the table. But Britain knew that it was going to be in trouble if that option came to the table, because according to the UN, the countries should have prepared their territories for independence, but Britain had not prepared Cameroon, the part that they had for independence. They didn't realize. I don't know whether they never thought that day would come, but they did not. They did nothing to prepare us. And for independence, you're talking about them having their governance, hospitals, roads, schools, defense, all those basic things that we as
Yes, as Mas, hold your thought there. Let us, and it's something Ali want us to drive home in the minds of our Brazilians as they are listening here. And I'd like to ask Dr. Ngombe, I want us to establish that prior to the Germans taking over the land, the territory of land that we see on these three maps, there was nothing established as Cameroon as a country. Even though we had the Portuguese that came in, they had no territory that was carved out that we could call a country, because though they had that name, Rio dos Cameroon, they were simply referring to the river of prawns or river of shrimps, whatever you call it. There was no established territory prior to. The first people who established this territory were the Germans. And the land you see here on these maps is the land that represented that territory. It is not what you know today of Cameroon. So I just want
can I say something before
Kubi come in, because he said some very interesting things about this very issue. Dr. Ngombe, I want you to establish in the minds of Brazilians that when they hear people saying, like Ahijo said during the fraud called 1972 referendum, he said reunification. That was the word they were emphasizing on. I want it to be clear that there is nothing like reunification, because we were never one. We were never one, because in order for us to have been one, it will imply that La Republique will also go and take back all this land that we see here on this map, that they will have to re-establish this map as you see here on the screen, in order for them to claim that we ought to belong with them. Because we were with them before, they too must go and claim the land that we see that they had, that was lost on this map here. Dr. Gombe, isn't that right?
Don Mike, you are 100% correct, and this is one of the points that I've made in the past, that if the countries that surround us, who made up that territory of German Cameroon, they were smart, they would support Ambazonians to make sure we successfully defeat La Republique du Cameroon. Because if you ask me, I would say that the Beti Boulou-Fang cartel have extra territorial aspirations, because they cannot be talking about unification, reunification, and Cameroonian, and this idea of Cameroon, without talking about the parts that were included in Gabon, Central Africa, Nigeria, Chad, and some of these other places. So if anyone from these countries is watching us, you need to make sure that you find a way to go behind the scenes and help Ambazonians defeat La Republique du Cameroon, so that they realize that they're not going to be trying to retake all these pieces back that they have in their imagination as belonging to a fake country called Cameroon. And I really want to appreciate my brother, Comrade Maz, for correcting himself from saying country to a territory, because what existed back then was a German territory. We did
territory.
Cameroon as that all that you're seeing in the map, that was not a country. All that you're seeing in that landmass had no sovereignty of its own. My fellow Amazonians and French Cameroonese neighbors, there was no indigenous Cameroon governor, right? There was no indigenous Cameroon president that you could say that.
And to that point, Dr. Ngwambe, in order for that to be, someone will have to tell us who that leader was, right? Who was the leader of that territory then? If that was a country,
I remember
who was the leader of that country at the time? Can someone tell us?
I remember I was watching Comrade Chris. Comrade Chris was interviewing, I don't know whether it was this Federalist Kennedy Ejaka or it was maybe this Chinje guy. And I was there pulling my hair out because I'm like, how are these people trying to make it seem as if Cameroon exists as a country when none of them can name who the president of that German Cameroon was? And that's because it did not exist. We were all there as our individual kingdoms. And again, I want to appreciate Comrade Mas for recognizing that when you call people a tribe, it really diminishes their stature, because we were not tribes. If you really want to refer to us, we are ethnic groups, ethnic kingdoms. That's how you should really refer to us. This thing called tribes is a European thing because they wanted to make our kings to be lower than the Queen of England, lower than the King of France, and all this type of. That's the reason why they did that. But our Mfobufu, His Royal Highness Mfobufu, His Royal Highness Van Asongani, all these people were kings in their own right. You understand that? So all this, and I remember even preparing for Comrade Chris show, I went and I saw an article written by these French Cameroon newspaper talking about how the Europeans invaded Cameroon, and I just said, I was like, I had to put my hand over my face. You're invading? Which invading Cameroon now? Which invading Cameroon? There was no Cameroon. So what are these people talking about? That's why this is the biggest lie that was ever told in the world, is this thing that there was a Cameroon that existed that had its full sovereignty rights before the Europeans came. That is a big lie. That's why there's no such thing as reunification.
There was nothing like that.
No such thing as unification.
Yes,
thank you,
Uncle B. I would like, without much to say again, give us your take on this argument.
I might not have much to say, but I would have loved us to, excuse me, but you talked about the audio I sent out yesterday. It was in the light of this I decided to make us, that we tried to establish what were we, the first white man came to. I don't know how to that area, at least in the area. There was no name. There was no library to Cameroon. There was no Southern Cameroon. There was nothing. The first white man they put together that gave us that. Gave all the name, the crayfish as they call it, was the first guy that came. And then when the Germans came, they just borrowed that word from that man that gave the name as kangaroos, the Portuguese will call it, and they gave the German West Africa, that was Gabon, Central Africa Republic, Chad, all of that area was called German Cameroon. And that name was given by the Germans. And when the problem here, before they came, what was Cameroon? Was there anybody? Was there any geographical land? Cameroon? Even when that guy gave the name.
Were there any boundaries demarcating with other territories? What the Cameroon was? There was nothing.
I'm trying to establish
there was nothing.
That when they came, we continue to say one and indivisible. They want to know one. When was that one? When did the one start? And
when did it start?
They were under a leader or any geographical mapping, except until when the German came. And how out of that land Africa, Republic, Chad, I think, and Cameroon that went to that, are they going to claim now those others were one and indivisible? They divide? But it was the same to claim that at least the only time we thought somebody governed us from And that was Samboya. All of these areas, they've long been on their own. But now Cameroon, Southern Cameroon is asking, where do we go to? In that audio, I think I will share it again. Let anybody be able to listen to that audio. We have to take our time here much. How this happened. And I think my colleagues have said quite a bit of it, a lot of it here now. But the problem is there was never anything as Cameroon. There was never any geographical entity with boundary that was named as Cameroon until the Germans came after the wars, and they divided those areas. Then the Germans took down the name that was given to that river and gave it to those Central African countries to be German Cameroon.
I see German Mars is itching to say something there. I just want us to establish that prior to the land being taken from the Germans, and which was cut into various factions and trimmed down to what it is now, there was no established government with anything. The Germans simply controlled the territory. And my findings when I was researching on this topic indicated that the Germans simply negotiated with each of the kingdoms as they went along into the territories. They were negotiating with the various kingdoms and expanding accordingly. It's not like they just came in and simply moved in and had some government or organization structure there. And no, they were negotiating with the various kingdoms and taking over
assigning
treaties. That is why they came up to the northern zone. Remember, Dr. Mwambe, they had a serious battle with the Bafut Kingdom. Remember?
And
there are places in my land where some of our heroes who fought and died. There was one called Tako. That means somebody with one leg who fought so bitterly and died, and I still know where he was buried. So these things exist. Chairman Mas, carry on.
Thank you. Yes. Before the Germans came, we, the whole of Africa, every area was a kingdom. Every area had its own king, and they had their boundaries. So this thing about boundaries, yes, each kingdom had its boundaries. You knew when you were crossing into someone else's kingdom. All those things were there. When the Portuguese came, they came to the port of Douala, and that's where they saw that river, and they named it Rios do Cameros. The Germans came and landed at the port of Douala and called it Cameroon with a K. Then now, as they started going inland, they started making their way inland. It's not as if the whole place was one. They will say, "Oh, we now cross into somebody else's kingdom." So now they will go and negotiate with the king of that kingdom and say, "Look,
exactly,
we are from the German, do say whatever they said, but we had kingdoms, established kingdoms. The Germans fought in Le BLM for 9 years, and they could not defeat us.
In 99.
Yes, so it was not as if the place was just, the whole place was one Cameroon. No, they were different kingdoms. The only reason why they used that word or that name Cameroon was because of that river in Douala, where there were lots of prawns, and the Portuguese had named it Rios do Cameros, and the Germans came and borrowed that word Cameros, and changed it to Cameroon with a K. And then they started negotiating with the other kings to come into that territory to join them. But it's not as if we were one. We were never one. And various areas were governed by kings.
Yes. So those who are pushing this false narrative, the one Cameroon proponents, they should get this message, get it clearly, and we're sending this message.
They had the football king. Not every. I had the for all those people. They were established kings.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and the Germans ruled that territory, which was not organized from I think 1884 to about 1920 when they surrendered to the Allied forces. So that is the way it was. Now, I would like for us to transition. We may still talk back into this onto this topic, but I would like for the studio to play for us, even if it's just a short clip of this Professor Nyamding. They call it is it Nyanding? He
Namding.
sent out Nyanding. He sent out.
Yes.
I saw a clip of his show. I forget what TV station he was on, where he was reinforcing this same message that we are saying here, that this thing called unification was a fraud. There has never been any unification because the country has never been united. Even after all these years, it is still not united. Because what we have seen, according to his video, which we are going to see here, is that when you look at the appointments in that country, 70 to 80% of all the important positions go to those in the center and south. To be conservative, let me make it 70%. That means you have the remaining 30% shared by the remaining 80% of the country. And you can understand why some of our brothers would walk on the corpses of their brothers and sisters just because they want to grab one of those positions. So if the studio can play for us that video before.
Mais ces gens exagèrent, qu'ils donnent un tout petit peu aussi aux autres, ils détruisent l'État. Vous comprenez que ça gêne. Je vous dis que c'est pénible. Le président Biya dit, je maintiens l'équilibre régional dans la représentation parce que c'est le cadre référentiel de nos réalités. Regardez donc sur le plan fonctionnel. Et là, je vais vous prendre à témoin. Ce que le président Paul Biya a dit ici a été violé. Je vous prends quelques exemples. Quand vous prenez le nombre de gouverneurs au Cameroun, sur 10 gouverneurs, 5 sont issus de la même région, centre, sud et est. Certains sont mes amis. Est-ce que c'est l'unité? Lorsque vous prenez, j'entre dans le domaine de prédilection de mon estimé collègue, encore que je veux vous rappeler quelque chose.
Le domaine universitaire.
Avant le domaine universitaire.
Mais du domaine universitaire,
sur 10,
c'est ça.
Sur 10, je vous montre comment certains compromettent l'unité.
C'est des menaces à l'unité nationale. Hein?
Bien, des grandes menaces. Sur 10 gouverneurs, tout à fait. 5 sont issus de la même région. Centre, sud et est. Vous pouvez prendre le gouverneur du nord, vous pouvez prendre le gouverneur de la région sud, vous pouvez prendre le gouverneur de la région du sud-ouest, vous pouvez prendre le gouverneur de l'est, et vous pouvez prendre mon frère et mon ami Ivaya. Ils sont tous issus de ce qu'on appelle centre, sud et est. Sur 58 préfets, 35 sont issus de la même région. Maintenant, je prends le petit cadre que...
La région du centre?
Ben oui, centre, sud et est. Bien, je vous montre où est l'unité. Maintenant, j'entre dans le domaine de mon frère et ami, vieux et estimé collègue Aboya. On a 11 universités. L'université de Yaoundé 2, le recteur est du centre. Les deux chefs d'établissement, le chef de département, le chef, le doyen de la faculté des sciences juridiques et de politique Ondoa, il est du centre. Le doyen de la faculté des sciences économiques avant, il est du centre. La secrétaire générale de l'université de Yaoundé 2, elle est du centre. Où est l'intégration? Le vice-recteur lui-même, il est du centre, je l'ai oublié. Lui-même, il est du centre comme le recteur. Il est là, c'est mon frère. Aboya est du centre, le recteur est du centre, les deux doyens sont du centre. Maintenant, avançons un petit peu. Prenez les grandes écoles. L'INAM, il est du centre. L'école normale, il est du centre. Lyrique, il est du centre. L'Estique, il est du centre. Polytech, il est du centre. Allons même dans ma petite maison lyrique. Le directeur est du centre. Chers collègues, monsieur le recteur, vous êtes notre patron. Je vous dis ce que j'ai eu à dire à deux au ministre Famandongo. Les 4 chefs de département de lyrique sont du centre. Alain Didier Olinga, chef de département de droit international, est du centre. Mandjem, chef du département de l'intégration, est du centre. Bachom, chef du département de politique internationale et du centre. Et Baébé, chef du département d'économie et du centre. Notre maison, que vous et moi, on s'épanouit, une école internationale. Laissons Yaoundé 2. Allons maintenant à Yaoundé 1. Le recteur est du Sud. Le vice-recteur, notre collègue, Wonangini, il est du Sud. Le doyen de la faculté de médecine est du Sud. Et les autres que j'ai déjà cités, je ne reviendrai pas là-dessus. Regardez quelque chose encore de très grave. Allez à l'université de Douala. L'université de Douala a 11 établissements. 11. Je vous dis 11. Sur les 11, 8 sont occupés par le centre sud et l'est. Je vais citer. Le recteur Ondoa est du centre. Asako est de l'est. Le doyen de la faculté des sciences juridiques et politiques Akam, mon frère, il est du sud. Le doyen de la faculté des sciences économiques Mokolo, il est du centre. Le doyen de la faculté de lettres, il est du sud. Le directeur de l'ESSEC, il est du sud. Mais entre nous, où est l'unité? L'unité fonctionnelle, l'unité opérationnelle. Vous voyez donc que, et je vais pas confisquer la parole.
Mais ils sont nommés par décret, mais Sanganyamdi. Mais c'est votre champion auquel vous vous identifiez qui signe ces décrets.
Je vais vous dire une vérité. Le président signe parce qu'il fait confiance à ses collaborateurs. Si on vient vous dire qu'un décret ne se prépare pas, c'est faux. C'est pourquoi je vous ai toujours dit qu'il est pris en otage, les gens le trompent et ne lui donnent pas l'impression que, effectivement, ce qu'il signe est toujours correct. Si c'est lui qui signe même ça, même si je suis biaï, c'est mauvais. Mon frère, on n'a pas fini. Au-delà des universités identifiables, quand vous allez à Chang, le doyen de la faculté de sciences juridiques et politiques d'Inveleu est du Sud. Quand vous allez à Ngaoundéré, le doyen de la faculté de sciences juridiques et politiques est du centre. Nous, les Sawa, on n'a rien. On n'a pas de gouverneur, on n'a pas de préfet. On n'a pas de gouverneur, je vais dire. Maintenant, allons au Sud. Pourquoi nous, à Douala, on donne quelqu'un du centre? Et au Sud, on donne quelqu'un du Sud. On ne peut pas nous donner aussi le Sud? Vous comprenez que ça gêne. Je vous dis que c'est pénible. Et je n'ai pas touché d'autres secteurs. Quand je sors de là, j'observe un peu la diplomatie. J'arrive. Regardez les grandes ambassades. Paris, c'est un gars du centre, Ekoumo. Berne, c'est Bindi, il est du centre. Mais il faut qu'on le comme Paris. Genève, c'est mon frère et mon ami Eyet Salomon, il est du centre. Bruxelles, c'est évident, il est bourg. Tokyo, c'est Haïti, il est du centre. Washington, c'est Sumba, il est du centre. Quand vous allez même encore à côté, allez voir les Pays-Bas, c'est Madame Ondoa, elle est du centre. Où est l'unité fonctionnelle de l'État?
Bon,
et vous croyez donc que...
Laissez Galim Bekem vous répondre à cette question.
Donc vous comprenez que c'est une construction que nous devons corriger. Parce que si nous voulons consolider notre unité, je n'ai pas touché d'autre corps. Et je m'abstiens. Je n'aurai pas le courage de mon frère, le maître Chapi, qui a parlé de l'armée. Mais quand vous voyez quand même que le ministère de la Défense, c'est le centre, le CED, c'est le centre, la DGSN, c'est le centre, ben écoutez, c'est pas moi qui le dis, c'était un rapport de la FBI qui lui l'a seulement lui aussi, où il y a 10 ans, on parlait de l'hégémonie Betty. Ma mère, Betty, je viens d'enterrer mon oncle, voilà mon oncle. Et son mari n'est pas mon oncle maternel. Si. Je suis du centre par ma mère. Mais ces gens exagèrent, qu'ils donnent un tout petit peu aussi aux autres. Ils détruisent l'État.
I think we got a message there. We got a message. It is like Professor Nyamdeng is saying. It is painful. It is painful to cite all these examples. And fellow ambassadors, this man is an insider. He's an insider. He is of the CPDM. He knows these people he's talking about personally. So, as he is saying there, some of these people are his friends. And he is citing these examples. Let me quote just a few of the examples he has talked about. All right. When you take a look at the governors, he says 6 of the 10 are from the South. 6 of the 10 governors from the South. Either center or south, the two regions. Now, You come to universities, like all of the university are cited there, Yaoundé, Gaoundere, Douala, all of them, all of the rectors, they are from the south. They are from the south, all of them, including their directors and financial officers and everything. They are from the south. Now, we come to DOs. It said of the 58 DOs in the whole country, 35 of them are from the south, center and south. 35. You come to professional schools, about 80% from the south of all the appointments, or about 80% of them from the south. You come to ambassadors, France from the south, USA from the south, Great Britain from the south. You name them, all of the important countries in this world, the ambassadors are from the south. I cannot name all of them that he has mentioned. And I'm saying here, this guy is, I think he even had a position in the Central Bureau of the CPDM. So when we talk about these things, people think that we are exaggerating. If you have a country where 80% of the appointments are from 2 small regions, and you now have leave the rest of the 80% of the country to fight over the remaining 20% that is left, you can now understand the scramble that some of these people like the Mbelamukis, which I will talk about him specifically. I will talk about Mbelamukis. I have a special message for him. But that is why you see people are willing to strip down naked and prostrate in front of Phobia in order to have one of these positions, because everything has gone to those in the center and south. Are you surprised? Look at the Southern Cameroon's Amazonia. Look at those who are administering it, be it in the military, the civil service, the DOs, and so on. They're all from the south, except from a few here and there who are from other regions. And then you come and you're telling us about unification. Where's the unification? Where is the unification? I want someone to tell me. So, Dr. Kwame, I'm sure you listened to this and you had a good understanding of what the professor was saying there. It's good that this message is coming from them, from one of theirs who knows the system. He knows these people personally. He was able to call their names. Nobody can argue with him. You cannot argue with him because he knows these people personally. Some are his friends. Dr. Kwame, what do you have to say about this?
My advice to La République du Camerounais is that you all need to have a referendum and decide whether you all want to call that country Beti Maroon, Fang Maroon, or Bulu Maroon. Because what was just given there, what is going on in you all's country is absurd. It is really, 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 really absurd. And I don't know how you all are tolerating it. I don't get it. But one day you all are going to have your own day of reckoning in that country. And fortunately, right, it is because of Ambazonia that you all will be free. You know why? Because once we negotiate our terms of separation and you all are left to your own devices, that's when you all you'll begin to figure out that what the hell has been going on in that country for the over how many years, almost since independence, 50 years has been going. What the hell has been going on in that country? Because that nonsense that we just listened to there now, that is the biggest horse shit I've ever heard in my entire life. And mind you, we're a country in Ambazonia and French Cameroon is supposed to be 250 ethnic groups or 250 languages, but only one particular ethnic group is the Nek Oman, and when I tolerate them. I don't get it. But you all are going. We already figured it out. You all need to figure it out.
Okay, given what I don't know how good your French is, but given what at least you have gotten some of the figures I have put out here, and what is so painful is the arrogance that these people from the center and south have. It is the arrogance that they have, the sense of entitlement that they have. We all saw recently how this big-headed man from the ADF went down there to have a rally, and he was chased away. Just to have a rally, they will not as much as allow you to come and express yourself in their region. Get that? They will not as much as allow you to come and just to express yourself in their region. They will not let you. Kanto went there, he was chased away. But these people are all over the territory, sucking up the resources from all corners of the territory with impunity. But they will not as much as allow you to come and even have a rally on their own soil. Now you tell me, if the Republicans will sit back and continue to allow this nonsense to go on, I don't want to include us because we have already made up our minds that we are done. I feel sorry for the rest of them who are still hanging out there because we will get them out of our territory one way or the other. What advice do you have for these so docile and permanently drunk Republic citizens who don't seem to have a clue what's going on in their own country? Okay.
Yeah, Comrade Mark. I think you think that how do dictators stay in power? Do you know that it allows these people go to where is an endangered species, they will get a different message. So they shouldn't go there to teach a different message than from the one they've been telling them. Keep them empty, keep them blank from a message that can open their ears. Why do you think they see only his song on CRTV, on CRTV, on their government TVs? But they don't hear, they don't want their people to hear an alternative message and know the fact of what is happening. Say, for instance, if we ambassadors did not go deep into know our history, and a lot of us don't even know what we're talking about when we're talking about reunification. They have no idea because the information was hidden from them. And they wouldn't let them hear it or know it so that they don't send out an alternative voice from what they have. That's how dictators stay in power. Put their brothers in strategic places so that they take care of whatever can happen. So you don't need to bother yourself asking what probably this guy and Nandin guy. Just look at the faces of those people at the panelists.
Yes.
Deception. Everybody putting down his head. Everybody looking at the other person. Completely dumbfounded that this is not real.
They themselves, the first were embarrassed with all those facts, those details, and by the way he was quoting the names of the people he was calling because he knew them personally. So you could not, it was something indisputable. You could not say he was lying. But he knows these people. Chairman Bass, I know that I don't know what we can even say about this again, but okay. The one thing that I disagree with, and I would like you to comment on it, was something he said about the fact that, well, Paul Biya, somebody asked him that, but who makes these appointments? He said, "Oh, Paul Biya has left it in the hands of his associates, so he is not responsible, or he does not know exactly what is going on." And my question is, no. You cannot be a leader and say you don't know what is going on. That is what it takes. That is what it means to be a leader. That means you have to be in charge. And that is why when as a leader, you have to be there when you know that your mind is sharp enough to understand what is going on and make the right decisions and be able to follow up and make sure that the right thing is being done. That is why when you are 90 years old, you should not be trying to hold your diaper and lead a nation at the same time. You should have retired and allow someone who is sharp enough to know what is going on in that country to manage the affairs of that country. So trying to excuse Paul Biya that he does not know what is going on, it will not fly. To me, it doesn't make any sense. He said everything right, but for that, I disagree with him. Chairman Mas.
Thank you, Chairman Mike. A few things there. The first thing is that he is very right in a lot of things. But what he failed to explain was that, yes, 80% of all those roles or positions go to the Betty or center people,
Bulus.
Bulus. But what he didn't tell you was that the remaining 20%, where does it go? A lot is not shared equally.
Mm-hmm.
How many? Most of it goes to the north, and only very little goes to the Bamlikes and the Douala people. Why? Because since from the days of Aijo, remember the days of Makiza, those were the people they labeled as the Makizas. The Douala people and the Bamlikes.
And they have been forever blacklisted. They have been blacklisted
Correct.
forever.
So that's what he did not explain. That bit, if the 20% is not shared equally, I will not even put Ambazonians there or people who call themselves.
Chairman Mars, I'm not cutting you short, but let me say this to Ambazonians. As you are listening to this, you see the way the Bamlikes and the Basas have been blacklisted. Given the fact that our case is even bad, if we should, God forbid, allow this struggle to falter, our case will be tragic. It will be worse. We will not just be blacklisted. We will be earmarked for extinction. That is what is going to happen. So I want us to be very careful. Those who are out there making the noise that, oh, that one I think, when the time comes, you will wish you had done something better. Continue, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I don't think they will just be earmarked. It's already been programmed. There will no more be Ambazonian territory. All those pillars of boundaries that are still in existence will all be taken away. The Francophones will come and flood our area and become the majority in our area. The people of that area, where those areas will now be ruled from La Republic region. Take, for example, Lebele will be ruled from Chang. Boya and Fako will be ruled from Littoral. Tombela and Kupemanimbuba will be ruled from Kongsamba and Lum. So there will be no more administrative centers in our area. We will have to be traveling to their area to go and do even a birth certificate, to go and even chase your dossier. So you can fool yourself and say that will nothing, but no, it's not that will nothing. Then the other bit that I would slightly disagree with you, Chairman Mike, is the fact that he said, or you disagree with him, that Paul Biya has delegated power to some people, some of his people, to do what they want. And truly, that's what he's done. Because the guy, remember when he came to the US, and the people were there, and he said, oh, all these people have come to see me. Who are these people? The guy hasn't got any sense anymore. He hasn't got anything. People tell him, sit, and he sits. They say a good leader should be what you said, but he is not a leader. He is just a figure.
No. I did not say. I did not say Paul Biya is. I'm just saying that Paul Biya, he should have known better to get out sooner. That's all I'm saying. He should have known better. He should not even be there delegating people. He should have left power. Yes.
Correct. And that's true. I agree with you there. But the guy was talking about how things are. Yeah. So as things are, Paul Biya himself, they tell him what to do every day. He came to the US. I did not even realize that he was in the US. He thought he was still in Yaoundé and all these people come to see him. So please.
And all he could do was sit there and pass gas like a horse.
I asked, all these people have come to see me. What have they come to see me for? So we come to be serious. We need to understand that Ambazonia should not be in the statistics that guy was talking about. We are not part of La Republique. Those statistics are La Republique statistics. We are not part of La Republique. They can do what they like. The Bamlikes, the Bassas, the Douala, all those people can decide, even the far north. But let me tell you something that I said in 2017. I said that country that they're calling that is one and individual. That country will eventually divide into 4 countries.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
One of those countries, they've been preparing it for over 17 years, which is the Bulu state. That is what it will be called, the Bulu state.
Yep. Yep.
Then there is a Grand North.
Yeah.
Then there is Amazonia. The people who are not even thinking about it are the dwellers and the Bamlekes, and they will be left stranded.
They will be left to decide what their own fate is.
Yes, they will be left stranded because they're not thinking about it. The Bulu people,
they'll wake up one day and they will have to decide where to go.
The Beti people had been thinking about it. They said, in one article I read how many years ago, they said the day Amazonia leaves, that's the day they will cut off the 2 from the rest of Cameroon. The day they lose Amazonia, they will cut off. Then they've been preparing their state. Why did they move the seaport? They had said they will do the seaport in Limbe.
Victoria.
In Victoria. But they moved it to Kribi.
And mind you, Chairman Mas, mind you that the seaport, and this is something again. I after you finish, I'll make my comments about Mbelamuke.
Yeah,
this is something where the port that was built in Kribi is more expensive. It's more expensive than what they should have spent to develop the Victoria seaport.
No.
But they decided to do that because they don't consider us part of them.
It's not even expensive. The seaport in Victoria is a natural seaport. All they needed to do was just put things there and it will be a seaport. They didn't need to create it. They did not need to do anything, but because that particular spot or area is in Amazonia, they couldn't see themselves developing a seaport in Amazonia. We have a natural seaport. It has everything. It will take bigger ships than they go to Douala. It will take more traffic. But they will not do that. Kribi is hidden. Douala seaport, they had to be draining it every year of sand. They don't care about Douala seaport anymore. They're focusing on their Kribi seaport because it's in a Beti state. It's in part of the Beti state. They have been preparing the Beti state for over 17 years. Look at the budget. Look at Cameroon financial budget, yearly budget. 60% of that budget goes to Beti state. The people, if you look at the Beti state, they consume 60% of the Cameroon budget. And it's
but ask how much is produced. How much of that budget is produced in that state, in those states?
That's what I'm telling you.
How much of the money comes out of that area?
But you know,
Chairman Mas, let me address this message to Mbelamuke because this guy just causes me to feel like throwing up. Mbelamuke, alias the jackass. This guy, I think, this guy should not go around referring to himself as a man. He should. The message I have from Mbelamuke is, I hope you have listened to all these statistics that we have put out here today. Because he likes to say some people are stepping on their necks. I hope he now realizes those who are actually stepping on their necks. I hope he realizes it because this man ought to go around wearing a skirt. He should start wearing a skirt or a gown. Or better still, maybe he should get a wrapper and tie around his waist and go around so that when Pobia needs him, he can just flip the wrapper open and prostrate to satisfy Pobia's whims and whatever he wants to do. Because that is what Mbelamuke needs to do. To get yourself a wrapper and while you're at it, maybe you get a hair tie too, or maybe you braid your hair. Okay, Belamuki, braid your hair. And don't forget to put on some lipstick because Pobia likes lipstick. All right? Belamuki, I hope you're listening. Put on some lipstick.
And big hair. And big hair. Let him put on big hair too.
Heels, try some high heels as well. I don't know if you'll be able to make it. Because after all, you have a funny haircut. I don't know who cut your hair. With everything that you're stealing, you can't afford to get a good barber to cut your hair. You have a funny haircut, so maybe a hair braiding will do some good for you. And get again, put on some female clothes because you are not a man. You are not a man. You are a woman. All right. I hope somebody can send this clip to Mbelamuki. That's who he is. And by the way, his other name is Jackass. So these are the people who go prostrating, calls himself a senator, as if he knows what the responsibilities of a senator are. Does he know what a senator is supposed to do? When was the last time he passed a bill? Mbelamuki, how did you become a senator? Were you elected? Who sent you to be a senator? These morons, and people like this do this because the only way that people like this can get to any position like that is in a system where mediocrity is rewarded. The people who are qualified will not go and prostrate themselves, make themselves look as stupid as this idiot is doing, because if you really know that you are qualified and you deserve a position, you don't go making yourself look so silly in front of people like he is doing. But the only reason he's doing is because he knows he does not deserve it. It was given, and Pobia, as crooked as may be, he is a very smart crooked man. He takes somebody who he knows is not deserving of a position, then he appoints him. He knows that person will do everything to maintain that position. If he has to strip naked, he will do it. Look at a man like Paul Atananji, Minister of Territorial Administration, the guy who says Kumba is in Fako. And he's a Minister of Territorial Administration. He goes to Kumba, he calls it, he says it's in Fako. He does not even know his own little geography. And these are the people that Obia appoints, and they are willing to do anything, whatever he wants, they will do it. And this jackass, I call him a jackass, but Amoki falls right in line with that. So I don't know what you have to say, Dr. Ngwambe. I hope I sent that message right. If you can add to that, and to Belamoki and the likes of him, I think we have put some statistics out here that they can learn from and understand how decisions are made in that country, that Bobia doesn't care about them. They are just using you to marginalize your people.
The truth of the matter is
from your region to go and develop their own regions.
What our brother Chairman Mas correctly pointed out is that the Beti Bulufang, they're preparing for their own exit. That's why you see all the economic investments that they're doing, even the iron ore development that they put. It's all in their end. They're planning on having their own country, and I don't blame them for fighting to have their own country, because at the end of the day, we Africans need to realize that most of these countries that exist are European constructs. The Europeans came,
correct.
They carved it all up. They didn't ask our opinion. They forced fake plebiscites on some of us and all this other nonsense and said, hey, go manage these plantations for us while hands aren't directly involved. They picked their favorite puppets amongst them. First, they start off with Ahijo. Ahijo at some point started to break away, and I guess he thought after manipulating the Ambazonians, he would be able to manipulate the Beti Bulufang. So he said he would be the chairman of the political party, and Paul Biya would be the president of the country, and Paul Biya would have less power than the chairman of a political party. I don't know what kind of banga Ahijo was smoking, but that's a different story. And look what happened. So if the Beti Bulu want to have their own country, good for them. Let them do it without having to kill us now. That is the only thing that I'm asking. You've already stolen as much as you've stolen. Go and have your own country. Ambazonians were already gone. I pity our Bamleke brothers and our Basa brothers, because they're being taken for a ride by both the Northeast and the Beti Bulu people. And ultimately, your message to Belamoki is spot on time, Mike, because at the end of the day, when you look at what the Betty Bulu politicians are doing, they are looking out for the interest of their citizens, not the interest of La Republique du Cameroon, the interest of their own people. Belamoki, are you looking out for the interest of your people? Are you looking out for the interest of Ambazonians, Belamoki? What are you doing to be proposing laws and providing oversight inside the French Cameroon government that is going to ensure that jobs are created inside our part of that so-called?
I give Dr. Ngwambe, I give Belamoki one assignment. The construction of the Victoria Deep Sea Port has been promised decade over decade over decade. Make sure that happens, and I'll forgive you for everything. Make sure it happens. That is the job of a senator. That is what a senator does. He brings projects to his region and make sure they are executed. That is my one job to Belamoki. Get the Victoria Deep Sea Port constructed, and I'll know that you are a senator.
And let's add on top. Let's add on top the Tico Airport that they've proclaimed that they want to build an airport. They want to reconstruct the Tico Airport back to an international airport. Let them do those two things. Get a seaport.
Let him do just one. Let him just do one of them. Let him just do one. And I'll say he's a senator. Then he should never again stand in public and call himself a senator, because he doesn't know what a senator does. He doesn't know what a senator does. And for those La Republique du Cameroon, I don't know, surrogates out there, let me give you one message. There will be no change in that country that will come through any elections. Forget about it. It will not happen. Okay? If you can vote 1,000 times, it will not bring change to La Republique du Cameroon. If you didn't know it from me today. No election will bring change to that country, because the system of elections is controlled by the very people who have held you hostage. They will not let you take it from them. If you want to know how to change your country, you need a revolution. That is what you need. That's the only way you are going to bring change to that damn country. You need a revolution. But the question is, who is going to lead it? Are there any men with balls in that country who can lead a revolution? They're all women. They should be sitting down and peeing. And that's why I'm advising Belamoki, from now on, you don't ever stand up and pee. You want to pee, sit down. All right? Kneel down and sit down like a woman, because that's what you are, a woman. Continue.
Chairman Mike, that is the reason why I said whatever the professor was saying didn't have anything to do with Ambazonia, because La Republique citizens do not have the balls. The Bamlikes do not have the balls. The Douala people do not have the balls to go into a revolution. And it will only take a revolution to bring the change or the fairness that he was pleading for. It will not take, oh, let's go and vote. No, it will not. They don't have the balls to go and do what the Ambazonians are doing. They don't. And until
thank you so much. We are running short of time, but I really want us to touch one other topic before we close. And it is this nonsense that we always heard people say, oh, you are terrorists, or you are this terrorist, this terrorist, that. So I just want us to take a look at who is a terrorist. Who is a terrorist? Let me read here. A terrorist is a person who uses violence, normally unlawful violence, uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of a political, social, or ideological objective. A person who uses violence or the threat of violence in order to intimidate, especially civilians, in the pursuit of a political, social, or ideological objective. Now, let us look at how this conflict, which is between us, the Southern Cameroonians and Bazonians, has come about to where we are today. We remember that in 2017, when we came out with peace plans, leaves, and all that, to demonstrate on the street, to express like every other aggrieved people. You come out on the streets and you march peacefully. At the time we came out on the streets in 2017, there were no amber boys in the bushes. There were no amber boys in the bushes. No one had guns. No one had machetes. No, we had nothing. We had nothing. We were just people who were fed up, and and all we wanted was just a change in the system. That someone should at least say, okay, we are listening to you and we are going to do something about it. But what did they do? They came out with live bullets. Helicopter gunship came up and shot 100 and something people dead on that day. And it did not end there. Thereafter, they started going into houses in the southern Cameroons, breaking doors, shooting people, killing some, maiming some. We saw women, students from the University of Boya dragged out of their hostels, made to swim in sewage. We saw some in the northern zone. They were made to swim in mud. And this torture continued. And at some point, our people realized that if they did not push back, they will all exterminate us. And our boys started pushing back. So, who is the terrorist here? Who is the terrorist here? Is it the people who were maiming and brutalizing these innocent, peaceful demonstrators and killing some? Or those who were fed up with the molestation and decided to fight back? So who is the terrorist here? Who has been responsible for burning down villages, burning down houses, and burning all mothers and fathers in their own houses? Who has been responsible for shooting little kids in the head? Who has been responsible for killing, shooting pregnant women and burying them in mass graves? Who is the terrorist? That's the question we're asking here. By the definition that I've read here, who is the terrorist? It is abundantly clear that the terrorists here are those that have been sent by La République du Cameroon. It does not matter whether they wear uniforms that are supposed to be called military uniforms. It is the act that is important, not what you wear on your body. So because some people have this conception that, this idea that just because the people doing these things wear uniforms that are supposed to present them as a military, so therefore they are not terrorists. No, they are terrorists because the acts they are committing are commensurate with those that only terrorists commit. So they are terrorists. Those that have been sent by La République du Cameroun to come into our communities and cause chaos, rape, murder, indiscriminate violence, burning down of homes. That is not what a trained military does. Those are the actions of a terrorist gang, state-sponsored. I'm sure you all have heard about a state-sponsored terrorism. When a state that is supposed to be responsible engages in terrorist activity, it is called state-sponsored terror or terrorism. And that is what La République is guilty of. Ambazonians are not terrorists. La République is a state sponsor of terrorism. That is what I wanted to establish here. So, Uncle B, I don't know what your own interpretation is. Am I wrong in what I've just stated here?
Uncle B, you're
You may be muted.
You're still
Yeah.
muted.
Okay. No, I'm open now.
Go ahead. Yeah, you're good now. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, I'm good now. Yeah, what I wanted to say is you just explained it all. I don't think there's anything somebody want to expatiate except that is still just going to be giving other examples as to what you just said. But I want to go a little bit back to what maybe I had the opportunity to come on. This thing we're
Okay.
talking about. The repercussion that will follow Ambazonians if this struggle is lost. Actually, this is the thing that people are supposed to know. So this is the worst thing that can ever happen to a people. If we happen to we happen to conquer us at the war. Because we will be considered as having been captured at war. And you know why they call us terrorists? They'll go scorch earth cleaning anything that will happen to anybody ever supporting Amazonia. And the world will not speak. What they will tell the world, they were people who wanted to cause chaos, that they are cleaning the place. They were terrorists and they were anarchists. They just say what happened in October 6, April 6, 82. They cleaned almost all of North. They wanted to stabilize the country. That's why they continue to call us terrorists or this. The worst thing an Ambazonian man can do is to make it, just to relent. But anything that will come out after this struggle will regret even ever getting ourselves involved in it. We are lost. They have an excuse to give. All these things you're talking about, do here, they're all francophones. What do you think will happen then? You will then be a captured people at war. Okay? Where will you complain? And to who? If you are not able to do another opportunity that we started, and we're already winning, I would say winning, and we relent. I want all Ambazonians to know this. The fate that will befall us, if at any one moment, and those guys, our fighters on the field there, I swear to God, they'll horn you guys are like we used to horn Robbie in those days. And nobody will question. And for those who think that indeed the arrows like that, there has never been anybody that will take arms against a government. And that government take that person gives me a job. And that way they will clean so that such a thing shall never happen. We see they are putting their military in every quarter. You think that is for what? That is to preempt that no uprising can ever happen. When they crack down is to make us fear that nobody will ever raise his hand to say, oh, we want to do something like this again. So this is the last opportunity we have. If anybody wants to relent, let it think and rethink that after this, we are a lost generation. We are a lost generation. I'm telling you, it will be savagery that those guys will carry out. They're trying to play to the gallery because they know if they come hard now, they will question. But let this thing end. And let's say, okay, we don't even go to the table. It's a pity for us. That's why we should keep behind our mind.
Thank you. Thank you. Chairman Mas, as I read in the definition here, that the reason the perpetrator of terrorism engages in that activity is in order to push a political, social, or ideological objective. In the case of La République du Cameroon against the people of the Southern Cameroons, the objective here is to compel us to accept to live as a subservient people under them, to accept the fact that we have been colonized. That is why they are trying to terrorize us into submission as their slaves forever. That is the objective they are trying to achieve, to terrorize us to a point where we become so afraid that we accept our condition as a captured people. That is what Larabik wants us to accept. I just want our people to understand it. The reason they are doing this thing is because they want us to be so afraid. That's why when they come in, they want to exercise as much wickedness as possible so that you become intimidated and you don't have the courage again. You say, oh, that for me to have this, I better give up. That is, they want us to surrender. That is why they are subjecting us to this kind of uncontrolled violence, indiscriminate violence. Chairman Mas.
Thank you, Chairman Mike. Thank you, Uncle B. But Chairman Mike, there's something that you didn't put in when you were talking about how this thing came about, which the audience really need to know. Mm-hmm. When this struggle started, you talked about 2017. Let's go back to 2016, when our lawyers, think about it, the lawyers, our teachers, these are people who are there to educate and defend people. They went to the streets without even a penknife in their pocket to demonstrate about the system, that the system was unfair. What did they do? The military came and removed those things they put on the lawyers put on their head. What do they call them? Took them to the wig and smashed them. Do you know how degrading that means?
Yeah, we all saw the pictures. They were dragged and kicked around like
arrested. That's when they got people like Bala, all those people, they got them all in. They disgraced our teachers, not just they molested them. Then it moved on to the 2017. Our boys, we didn't even have boys. It got to the point that you were in the house, they'll come and rape your sister in front of you, rape your mother in front of you, beat your father, beat you, kill some. And the boy said, no, I know I'm going to die. Like BBC, a Mancho BBC. He carried his coffin, he said, look, I'm already dead. There's nothing for me to hide. Yes. So there's no point. The boy said, no, we either die fighting or defending ourselves, or we will die eventually. So that is why those boys took up defending anything to defend their nation or their families, because it started about defending their family or the neighborhood. All that did not start because the boys decided that they will start shooting, or they will start killing somebody. This was because they thought that was the only thing they had to do to defend their families. Remember the march that you talked about in 2017. The only thing our people carried were this peace plant, which we call Nkeng.
Yes.
That was the only weapon they took, Nkeng peace. Yet, live bullets were shot at them. Then you say that the person defending himself in that situation is a terrorist? Then you don't know, my friend, what a terrorist means. I am doing what the law says. If something is not right, I have the right to march, as long as it's peaceful. They march peacefully. The teachers march peacefully. The lawyers march peacefully. Our population march peacefully. And all those people were brutalized and killed during a peaceful march. Nobody carrying just in Nkeng plan. You open live bullets on them from helicopter gunshots. How is that?
And Chairman Mas, you know, again, I keep going back to this guy, this female called Melamoki. I keep going back to this female because he said they will terrorize the terrorists. That's why he said. And I want him to follow what this Professor Nyamding is saying here. I want them to come out and argue against the facts that this guy is bringing out. Let them come out and argue against the facts that this guy is bringing out and explain why our people should not be enraged that our resources are being looted and taken away and others are being brought in to lord over us. And when we are simply asking for a redress of some of these grievances, they come and exercise the most violence on us. And when we try to resist, this idiot will call us terrorists and say they will terrorize. I hope that he has been following the news in the past few days. And
comes from Chairman
from Fako. He's from Fako.
Yeah, he comes from Fako. Petroleum was being mined in Victoria. The taxes were being paid in Douala.
He has not said anything about it, though. I would like to see him. Let him use his.
The taxes are being paid to the Douala Council. Is he okay?
Let him use his senatorial powers. Let him use his senatorial powers to correct that. I will know that he's a senator. Dr. Gwambe, if you want to come in here and
the funny thing about it is that what Mbela Moki unfortunately does not understand, and what we Ambazonians have a responsibility to do, is to explain to the Ambazonian people how an independent Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, is going to be much, much better than what La République du Cameroon goes on. First of all, we believe in federalism. True decentralization, not the unitary state nonsense. We believe in federalism. So in an Ambazonia, we're going to have a federal relationship either between the counties. Our counties are going to have a federal relationship with each other, or the LGAs are going to have a federal relationship with each other. And what does that mean? That means that if you have certain types of natural resources that exist within your LG or your county, a majority of the revenue generated from that resource is going to go into to sustain the political structures that are in your LGA or county. And then a certain percentage of that will go to the federal government, so that the federal government can have some equity in balancing out development in other areas of the country. That's what that means. That means that oil that they've been taking to Douala, that oil that Yaoundé and Paul Biya and Ahidjo, they're the only ones who are collecting from that wealth and using it to go on their private visit, and they only knew how much money was made. That resource is going to be directed back to Fako. A good percentage of that's going to be directed back to Fako. And what will you and Fako do with that oil money that you all have? Maintain your roads, hopefully provide free lunch, like our kids get free lunch when they go to school, provide free school books in the public schools, make sure that you can support rural electrification, you can subsidize rural electrification. You'll be able to man some of your the public works. You'll be able to pay the salaries of the public works. You'll be able to pay the salaries of your teachers, etc., etc. It's limitless. Not this nonsense that you have now. And unfortunately, I don't know what Mbela Moki is thinking. And I get it that he's operating under a kind of patronage system where the spoils of the natural resources are given to those who sing and dance for Dictator Biya the best. And that's what goes on. I get that that's what he's doing. But does he not want to be able to stand up as a man and not have to be kissing Paul Biya's ass? Does he not want that? Mbela Moki, what do you want for yourself? What do you want for your children? What do you want for the people of Ambazonia? Do you want us to continue to be the slaves of these Beti, Bulu, Iwondo people who are making sure that their children have jobs while our own children don't have jobs? Is that what you want to continue? Is that what you want to hand over to your children when you leave this earth? You want to hand over a system to them where the Beti Bulu Fang people continue to always have jobs, continue to always have appointments, while your people are begging for crumbs from the Beti Bulu Fang table. That's not what we Ambazonians want. And if you choose Mbela Moki, if you choose that that's what you continue to want, even after we get the independence, you are more than free to take your children and go and live in La République du Cameroon while Ambazonia is an independent country. And that will be perfectly fine with us. We don't have a problem with that. But we want our own country. We want to control our own resources. We want our politics to be managed at the local level, because we have seen what the unitary state has done. And the unitary state is a corrupt, bankrupt state that does not benefit anyone except those people where the capital is located. I yield that mic.
Dr. Gwambe, you are being very generous to Belamoki. You are assuming that this guy, is able to think rationally. You believe that Belamoki has the mind to rationalize things and make decisions that are pragmatic. The guy is blinded by one thing and one thing only. He sees everything through the prism of him being a senator. Whether his senatorial powers are used for anything good or not, he just wants to be there to be called a senator. Despite the fact that he cannot use his position as a senator to improve the lives of the people he claims to lead. He cannot do that. Because that position comes with no powers. He was appointed, remember? If he plays a fool, he will simply be unappointed. So it brings nothing but his empty head to the table. Yes, you're trying to say something there, Okubi.
Yes, I think we're missing the point here in the sense that you might be thinking that these guys don't know what is happening. They know everything that is happening, but the problem here is greed. It is what they want.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Okay,
it is what he has for himself. He doesn't care about anyone else.
You know, Popia will go for those who can trample on their fellow brothers and sisters without any regret to think that I'm trampling on people, I'm killing my people. Those are the people Popia go to align himself with. Who disrespect, disregard their own constituencies. Those are the people he goes for. Tell me the attacker that you are naming and in Belamoki. Even imagine when I was in Limbe in the high school in Limbe, when this thing Mike just talk about paying tax in Douala. They were paying the tax in Limbe. Actually, they started paying the tax, and that's another tax. But when they were transferred to Douala, I'm telling you, nobody made noise. We thought it was going to be a stunning situation where the Bakwere people will start to say it can't happen. That oil is being produced here, and then you are paying the tax somewhere in Douala. It happened, there was no noise. The Nebangu prevented the CDC from being sold for a very long time. Until when Musongi came, it was sold. So the problem here is these people don't even care to see what is happening. What they want to know is the ability to stay in power and answer yes to the powers that be, so that they continue to be there and nobody should touch them and should take them away from there. That is the situation. They know what we're talking about, but how does he maintain himself in power? As you just said, man, you think Pobia was wrong to say that some of the senators are appointed, some are elected, some are appointed? Because he knew what he was doing, because those that will be appointed will play allegiance to him.
Yes.
And it will be a bad thing against him. And that's how dictators work.
So and that is why that's why in a dictatorship they prefer appointments. And that's why
of course.
I forgot what documentary I was following, and it explained that most the French are very allergic to federation or any federal structure of government. They always prefer a centralized government. The French don't like federation at all. So as much as this is my message to the likes of it's Mr. Akiman and Professor Ngo. The French will not allow for any federal structure of government in La République du Cameroon. Get it from me. It's not going to happen. The French hate a federation because they like everything centralized, because it is easy for them to control it. That is the way it is. How many French countries in Africa are federated? How many?
That's the point.
So federation will never take place in La République du Cameroon. They can sing it for the next 100 years. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen. There will be no federation. It will be easier for us Amazonians to have our country than to live in La République and have a federal structure of government. That is genuine in the real name of what you call a federation. They can put a semblance of something there, but it will not be federation. Yes, it will not be federation.
Appointment alleged is directed to he who appoints you. So if you are people you elect, you may be have stubborn people. But when you appoint, automatically your allegiance go to the person who appointed you. Because
Yes.
you are
Yes.
answerable to and not to anybody else.
Yes, Chairman Mike.
So that is the message we want people to understand, that there will be no federation in La République du Cameroon. There will be none. It is not in the interest of the French to have a federal structure of government there. They don't have it anywhere. All federal governments in Africa are English speaking. All of them. The French don't like it because they don't want the powers to go to the people. They want the central governments that are puppets of theirs to be in charge and to do whatever they want. Governors appointed, everything appointed. Even the senators that are supposed to be elected, they go and appoint some of them and they put there. So I would like to start by thanking all of you, my panel today. I hope that Ambassadors have been able to learn from something from all that we have put out here. Unfortunately, we started a little late. We should have covered a lot more, but I believe that we have put out there enough for them to bite on. So, Chairman Mas, let me give you the first placings who came last. Oh, actually, Uncle B came last. So if you
No,
can go
I didn't come last. Mark came last.
Okay, Mas came last. So I'm right.
Yes.
I'm right there. So you take the first place and make your final comments, and we'll call it a day.
Okay, thank you. It's said that the first shall become the last, and the last shall become the first. So
That's the way it is.
Yes, fellow countrymen, fellow comrades. This is serious. This thing about this war of liberation is very serious. It's basically if we do not win, if we do not free ourselves this time around, not another time, this time around, we will be extinguished forever, forever. Never again will there be a day that someone will ever call themselves Ambazonia or Southern Cameroon. It will not happen again. So let's take this very serious and do what we need to do. To the people of La République, you need to know that to get the change that you deserve or that you need, you have to resolve to a revolution. It will not happen peacefully. It will not happen. They will not just the Yaoundé will not just one day and say, okay, Douala person, I make you minister of defense, or I make you minister of finance. Bamileke, I make you minister of finance, defense. It will not happen. If you want your rights, you will have to wake up and fight for it. Tell them that if you get to the point that you're not happy, you say, look, if I'm not happy in this so-called, remember, before the white man came, we were kingdoms. And some of those kingdoms were staunch enemies to the next kingdom. But the white man came and ensured that enemies were put together so they king. And as they keep fighting, the white man keeps looting. It was to their advantage. They didn't care that, oh yeah, this is friendly and this is friendly, so let's put friendly together. No, they put enemies together. People who do not see eye to eye together. We were kingdoms on our own rights. Just like you have the British Empire, the British Kingdom, all those kingdoms, we were a kingdom. So we were never everybody in that land or that area they did not belong to the same kingdom. We had boundaries. There were boundaries. Just like when you're going from Bamenda to Bambui, there's a place where they know that this is a boundary. When you cross that line, you know you're now in a different area. They were kingdoms. We were kingdoms. We belong to different kingdoms. If we dig deep, we'll be able to find out which kingdom we belong to. But we were not one man called La République, invisible. No. But you need to go, friends or neighbors in La République, you need to go and do what you need to do to get your rights being respected, to get equality, fairness, all those things. But don't sit and wait that it will be given to you. Ambazonians have decided to take the rod in their own hands and fight. When I say fight, we didn't start by defending, because this revolution did not start in 2016. It did not start even in 2000. I remember I was the treasurer for SCNC in the UK. By 1994, my name was already in Yaoundé. But if you look back at people like Gordon Dinka, even well, all those people, Joa and all of them, they fought, but maybe not the same style as we're fighting today, but they fought for our freedom.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, let's remember that. So this war, La République people, you need to fight too, if you're not happy. But Ambazonians are people who know that they will not take second-class citizen as the right choice. We will not take it lying down. We will fight until we get to where we need to be. But please, go and fight. If you need advice, come. Ambazonians will advise you. We're experts in this now. The more we're doing it, the more expertise we're gaining. And fellow Ambazonians, please don't give up. I dread to think of that option, because if we give up, we're finished. For some of us, we can live here soon. Now, death will come, we'll die, but there will be your future, the future of the children of Ambazonia. What becomes of that? Is it not worth fighting for? Let's fight for the future of our children. Think about an Ambazonia where children can go to school peacefully, learn free. Because all this economy, all this money that will be generated from each state, or whether it's county level or LGA level, all the money that can be, all the money revenue that will be generated from there, what they can use to do. You used to remember the days of PTA in schools, PTA, where children, when I was going to school, PTA, 2,000 for your school fees for a year. And the government or the state subsidizes. Your state or your LGA or your county will subsidize your child's education, your child's hospital. Things will run better. The roads, infrastructure, all those things. There's a lot of benefit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's a lot of benefit fighting for this thing now, so that we can win it and have our state and prepare it and build it the way that we would like it to be, not what La République wants us to have. Remember, can anybody remember a video of a woman giving birth on the road in the mud?
Yep, and that was even in their own territory. Yep.
Yes, and that was in your territory. No, we don't want that. We want a proper nation where we have ambulances there. Where if a pregnant woman needs help, they can be taken to hospital. They have medication, all those things. Please think it's worth joining. If you're not already in, if you're in, please support. Not just in for being in. It's good to be in, but please support so that we can win this thing. We can win this freedom, this liberation, and have our nation very soon.
Thank you, Chairman Mas. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you again today. Uncle B, I would like for you to have this moment. I know we're running out of time already, but if you could just use 1 minute to summarize your thoughts, and we call it a day.
I'm gonna take 30 minutes like mass. Yeah, no, that was a good summary. Summary there, mass. Actually, that's the message we're supposed to send to our people. Actually, but I will have very little. I mean, just a very short warning to give to our people. On the first level, misguided brothers who are saying we are one and indivisible, ask them this question: how were we one? Were we one? When they're able to answer that question, you will know that they are telling you the truth. If they cannot ask a question, they will know there's a fabric story. And the next thing I'm going to ask our brothers or us to know that the worst that can happen to us, we're happy to be learned. And some of our brothers who are just running around, even in Afra, they just stay there, they cannot give anything and they want result, they need this. They're making a very big mistake. There's some of that repercussion I only want to give it on here. I will send that in an audio. That may befall us if this war is lost. What will happen to people will be unimaginable. And you will be forced to do it whether you like it or not. So it's a warning to everybody. If you want to live, if you want to smile, join this movement. Don't listen to those who will tell you, oh, we want it is this or this. They are not taking you to put you into bondage. You can never get out of it for the rest of your life. And a generation is going to shape their period. And we are here trying to shape us for our children. Think twice why you leave behind for your children coming behind you as posterity. Let's be warned for what will happen to us if we happen to fail here. God bless us.
Thank you very much, Uncle B. Again, thank you for coming on today. I hope Americans will make use of the knowledge you have put out here. Dr. Ngwambe, we're going the first to come stays last. So your own final thoughts, and we'll call it a day.
Yeah, Don Mike, I want to thank you so much as always for having this program and for inviting me and having me on the program. I also want to thank Ambazonians for taking the time out in their busy day to come and listen to us and to hear this conversation that we've had. And I appreciate my brothers, my senior brothers at that, Chairman Maz and my big brother, Uncle B. I really want to appreciate you for this conversation we had today. My fellow Ambazonians and La République du Cameroon, we were told a lie. Both sides were told a lie. There was no such thing as the country Cameroon, spelled with a K. It did not exist. And I see a comment here on YouTube from one of our brothers who goes by the name The Obsidian Order. He captures it perfectly by saying that at no point in history was the Sofondom or the Bamun Kingdom one with the Beti or the Douala before 1960 or 1961. And he's right. Mm-hmm. And mind you, we all need to remember that even the Bamun, which is a part of French Cameroon, and the Nsou people are the same people. Mm-hmm. But they ended up splitting and they had their own separate kingdoms. And that kingdom was not known as Cameroon. Mm-hmm. Correct. Most importantly, the word Cameroon does not exist in any of our dialects. Damn, Mike, is there a word Cameroon in Ghana before? Uncle B,
we are only learning now how that word came about, right?
Uncle B, is there the word Cameroon in your dialect? My brother, Chairman Maz, do you all have the word Cameroon inside any of the Bangwa dialects or the Libi Alim dialect? The answer is a big, fat no. And that should just clear it up for all of us that this nonsense of unification and reunification, it's a big farce. My fellow Ambazonians, let me tell you something. I'm still in this fight because I know God is on our side, our ancestors are on our side, and the truth is on our side. You all need to know that victory is for those who are willing to work for it and are those who are willing to pay the price. We are at the door of liberty. We're getting ready to walk through it. This is for us, and this is for the people who are going to be born after us. Do not sell your birthright like what Mbela Moki has done. Do not sell it. We have to fight for what is ours. We're at that door. We're getting ready to walk through it. Stay the course. Like you, my fellow Ambazonians, all of you who are from the former British Trust Area of Southern Cameroons, you all know we're for the sovereign independence of our Amba nation that is separate from La Republique du Cameroon. And that is primarily because their governance and their principles and way of life are very different from us. We believe in accountable governance. We believe in local governance. We believe in electing our leaders and people resigning when they are failed to meet up to the promise of bringing prosperity and good governance for our people. That's what we believe in. That is very antithetical to what La Republique du Cameroon is practicing. And that's why we must see this fight to its logical end. Stay the course. We are together. God bless the people of Amazonia. Take care until we talk again.
Thank you, Dr. Ngwambe, proud son of Bafut. It's always a pleasure having you on, brother. Yes, fellow Ambazonians, I hope that the discussion we have been able to bring to you today, that you will find it beneficial and that you will not just use it, keep it to yourself, but you will share with others. Because the one thing that has always served us poorly is a lack of information. Because I'll tell you that I learned a lot about our history during the course of this struggle, because that history was hidden from us. So when we get these facts, it's good to share them with others so they too can benefit from this knowledge. Knowledge is power, as they say. Now, I would like to start by, again, really appreciating the good work that our restoration fighters have done within the past week or two. They have really brought life back to this struggle, because for quite some time now, others have been preaching this nonsense that, oh, the struggle is dying, the struggle has died. No, that is how warfare is. Sometimes you are up, sometimes you are down. But when you're down, you strategize and you come right back. And our brave warriors have come back. They have come back powerfully. Every part of Ambazonia has responded. And they are saying with one voice emphatically that we are not ready to give up. We will never give up. We will take this thing to where it needs to go, and that is till Ambazonia is free. So I cannot thank our restoration fighters enough. I cannot thank them enough. Kudos to you. Keep doing what you are doing. The land of Ambazonia belongs to you. It is your land, and it is your responsibility to fight and take it back. Those who are occupying it now are occupying it illegally. Those who are lording it over you are doing it illegally. They have no documents, legal documents of ownership of that land. The land is yours. Fight, take it, and use it for your own good and for the good of your children and generations after that. So that is my message to our brave warriors on the ground. And to those who still falsely think that there can be some change in La République du Cameroon through some kind of electoral process, I'm sorry to disappoint you. That will never happen. There can be no change in La République du Cameroon under the current structure. Only a revolution will bring change to that land. You need to tear everything down in that country. You have to tear down this gang of occultic bloodsuckers that have put a stranglehold on that country. You have to remove them. Tear everything down to the foundation and reconstruct it. Then and only then can you see prosperity in La République du Cameroon. There will be no positive change in the future as long as these people are allowed to continue sucking the life out of that nation. Nothing good will happen there. That is why we Ambazonians must stay the course and make sure that we bring this thing to a final conclusion where we sever ties with these people. That is the only time that we'll see progress. That's the only time that our people will be able to live freely and enjoy real prosperity. As long as we continue to allow ourselves to be compelled to be attached to La République du Cameroon, we'll continue to suffer. We'll continue to be marginalized, used and abused, brutalized and killed every day. That is the message I'm giving to you today. You can listen to what I'm saying here, and 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road, you'll see that it will come through. Nothing good will come to La République du Cameroon under those who are leading it today. Nothing good. Nothing. Now, so we have our destiny in our hands. It's for us to shape it as we see fit. So I thank you all again for listening. And I hope that the information we have put out here today will be used to make sure that we take our struggle to the final conclusion. Let's work together, comrades. Let's work together. Put our personal differences aside and work for the common good of our country and our people. That is what responsible people should do. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will say to you, take good care of yourselves. Take good care of yourselves. And when you do that, take good care of each other. With that, the war zone is out. Good night.